la ciudad, el puerto, con América Latina y, por supuesto, con Perú. Tiene una amplia producción bibliográfica, destacando Making Good Hot Convict Reform and Rebuild Their Life, was named, was recognized by American Society of Criminology. Chad, the president of the Sociology American Association, participated in our seminar 2 years ago, the St. Louis University. So with the Sociology Society, the American, we have some contacts. In your area, in your specific academic area, I can remember the professor we have contact with the Katja Franco. Katja Franco is...
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Katja Franco is a, Department of Criminology and Sociology Oslo in Oslo. Good experience with Katja. So now you are part of the seminar. The social policy, the security, the security, the society in this time is very important for all. The people, the people in general pay attention. The artificial intelligence could be believed, but we have some challenge with the artificial intelligence. Your experience, Liverpool experience, could be important in this area. Well, University of St. Mark, yes, of course, is the oldest from America. University of St. Mark, original and pontifical and royal, because the part the Spanish Empire. In 19th century, the Republic is the public university. Now, 21st century is the top university, the public top university in Peru. We have some challenge as similar the University Global South, but at the same time, we work to connect with the world, and the seminar propose and space the dialogue between the Global South and Global North. In January, we have experience with the Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is a top university in Africa.
Yeah, that's right.
The other, the Cape Town University in South Africa. South Africa is a top higher education in the world, especially in Global South. Be it Cape Town, Stellenbosch. It's very near South America, similar to Europe. No? South Africa is more near than South America than Spain, for example. Well, South Africa has this British experience, no? It's a British experience and local experience. It's very interesting, this experience in history and higher education. Well, but at the same time, we have some experience with the North American and North Europe University, yes, and Liverpool in general is very important for Latin America and for Perú. Well, amigos, amigas, el seminario Universidad de Desarrollo propone un encuentro de experiencias del norte y sur global. En este momento nos encontramos con el profesor Chad Maruna. El profesor Maruna es director de la Escuela pues, de Sociología, Políticas Sociales y Criminología de la Universidad de Liverpool, que a su vez es parte de la Escuela de Derecho y Justicia Social, ¿no? En otras experiencias, sociología lo veríamos más con la Faculty de Social Science, pero aquí vemos que está dentro de Derecho, como diríamos, una antigua, ¿no? Una antigua organización, ¿no? Que ponían Derecho y Ciencias Sociales. En algunas universidades tienen esta visión para algunos antigua. Bien, entonces estamos atentos a la presentación, investigación del profesor Chad, así como su departamento, su escuela y el departamento. Chad, thank you very much. We can start, please.
Okay, let me try to share my screen. Okay, looks like that's working. That working for you?
Yes.
Okay, and then I just need to hit slideshow, don't I? So from the beginning. Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much for that introduction and for inviting me here today. As you say, we have a long history and partnership between our two countries and our two universities. My department of sociology, social policy, and criminology is celebrating our 120th anniversary this year. We have spent a lot of time looking back on the history of sociology here in Liverpool and some of the contributions we have made to the, as you say, to the development of the welfare state in the UK. And it's although there are things that are very much not to be proud of in our history, we have also done some wonderful things, I think, in that regard in our department. And so I'm very honored to lead the department and to be a part of that history. I thought for today that I would just speak to some of my own research, give you a little taste of the work that I do. I recognize that almost no one in the call, although there's far more people here than I expected, most of you won't be criminologists and won't be aware of my work. So this is just a kind of taster to give you an idea of some of the work we do here in Liverpool. So I will start with the word that I am most associated with, this idea of desistance from crime, and desistance. Desistance is a terrible word, even in English. I'm quite certain there is no equivalent in Spanish, but desistance essentially means the long-term abstinence from crime among those who had previously engaged in persistent patterns of criminal behavior. A long time ago, we used to have a phrase for this in English that we called going straight or going legit. Those phrases no longer mean the same things and aren't used anymore. So we had to come up with a new word for it, and we called it desistance. And desistance isn't a matter of a single event where we look at what was it, the one thing that turned you around, as if there was a burning bush or a lightning bolt that causes people to change. We think of desistance as a long-term process. So we're interested, yes, a little bit in the moment of why people decided to change, but we're more interested in how they can continue to maintain that change in criminal behavior. The good news is that there's a great deal of desistance among those people who get involved in criminal behavior. This is British numbers from about 25 years ago now, but similar statistics can be found in most countries around the world. And what this graphic shows.
Sorry, Chad, you can, your presentation is the slide one.
It's not moving, is it? Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay, thank you. All right, that's not good. I wonder how to make it move. Thank you for letting me know. Let me share again. Stop sharing. Share presentation. Oh, I see what I've done. Okay, all right. Now this should do us. Or not.
Yes.
Is that better?
Sí.
No.
Sí.
People are giving me thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Now I can vaguely see it as well, which is helpful. This okay, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up, and wonderful. All right, this now that you're looking at, I should show the previous slide too. Whoops. Oh no. This is the previous slide. What is desistance? And then this is what's known as the age crime curve. And what this shows in short is that crime is a young person's and largely young males game. As you can see, these are British statistics from 25 years ago, but crime peaks in late adolescent years and then plateaus in the early 20s and then starts to drop almost immediately thereafter. And we see a very strong correlation between aging and what we call desistance from crime. And I'm going to get this worked out. There's a lot of reasons that you might see that pattern in criminal behavior. It could be, let's go back. It could be that young people who are involved in crime are dying and therefore not appearing late in life. It could be that they're going to prison for long periods of time, and both of those things happen. But when we follow cohorts of individuals over time and prospective longitudinal studies, what we find is that most young people will not die or go to prison for life. They will desist from criminal behavior sometime in their early 20s or perhaps early 30s. Something like 85% will desist by the time they are 28 years old, and the rest will desist soon thereafter. No, I'm never going to get this right. How do we study this thing, desistance? Well, I like to think of desistance as the study of success stories, the study of people who turn their lives around. And you can either do that by following people longitudinally over time and waiting for them to succeed, or you can seek out and find success stories and retrospectively work out how they have turned their lives around. I've done both types of research. The second type is a lot cheaper and easier to do. No, I'm not going to get this right. So we've been doing desistance research now for about 25 years. It actually started here in Liverpool at some level. That book, Making Good, was based on a thing called the Liverpool Desistance Study, and I'll tell you a bit about it in a moment. But now, since that time, there are dozens of books about desistance, and most of which are all better than my book. And new books come out every year on the topic of desistance, including some fantastic work, which I didn't put up in Spanish. There's two well-known Chilean desistance studies and also some work on desistance in Argentina, among other locations. We even have made a film for those who are less interested in reading one of the many academic books. We have a film called The Road from Crime, and that's available with Spanish subtitles. So if you just Google The Road from Crime, Spanish subtitles, you're welcome to watch that. More entertaining than my presentation today. So very quickly, what have we learned about desistance from crime? What do we know are the main factors that support desistance? This is not one of my favorite slides. There's a big literature, as you saw, many books, and this is just a tiny slice of the kind of key findings. But to give you some flavor. We know that people are likely to desist from crime if they have strong ties to family. Oftentimes, a new family, a partner, children, other times ties to their family of origin, their mothers in particular. Likewise, we know that desistance is related to employment, and in particular, stable employment, rewarding work that the person sees a future in doing. So for many years in British probation work, probation officers would talk about a steady job and the love of a good woman are the keys to desistance from crime. And indeed, both of these have turned out to be largely accurate. Some have argued, however, that both of those two factors are less important than the simple fact of moving away from one's peer group of young males in particular. So whatever gets someone away from the gang is going to be correlated with desistance from crime, because we know that most crime are committed in groups or collectives, sometimes called gangs, but usually groups of same age, same sex groups, and often males, of course. From a more psychological standpoint, we know that desistance is correlated to feelings of responsibility, feelings of being in control of one's life rather than being a product of their environment. So sometimes called self-efficacy or feelings of agency. We also know that desistance is correlated with feelings of what is sometimes called generativity, wanting to contribute to one's children, to one's wider community. People who desist from crime frequently get to a point in life where they want to make a difference. They want to be important to people and show that they can be good fathers, good role models for others. My own book, as I mentioned earlier, looks at desistance up close. I interviewed a large number of people coming out of prison in Liverpool back in the 1990s. And I tried to get an understanding of what factors differentiated between those who were successful in desisting from those who returned to criminal behavior. And these are some of the factors that were most associated with desistance. People who desisted were able to find a role model in their lives of someone else who had desisted from crime. Oftentimes this was a brother or a neighbor, someone from their group, their youth gang, who had turned around their lives first. And they set off a light bulb moment that where the person then realized, okay, if they who were just as bad as I was are able to turn their lives around and get a job or get into school, then if they can do it, then perhaps I can do it. And we all look to role models in that way. The same way they probably got into criminal behavior was by looking up to that brother or that neighbor. Likewise, desistance seems to have a social component to it in that way. Second, they talk about meeting someone. It could be the same role model, but oftentimes this is a girlfriend or an employer. But they met someone, a teacher, sometimes even a probation officer. They met someone who said, you're better than this. I can see something in you that you don't even see in yourself. But they made them feel like they could be more than just an offender. And this was something so common that we named a section of the book over this theme. But then quite quickly, individuals moved from being a recipient of help to being put in a role where they could help others. And they were able to find things that they were good at and things that others would reward them for. So they realized they were a good coach or a good dad or a good employee at various companies. They quickly saw themselves as leaders and role models themselves, and this was their opportunity to demonstrate that to others, but also to themselves. And lastly, then this change in their behavior was reflected back to them. Other people told them how much they had changed and what a remarkable story they had. And the more other people celebrated that story, the more they believed it themselves, and they took on that as a kind of identity for themselves. So that's a very short summary of a very long book, but it gives you a sense of that the data in that book making good. So what is the point of this research? What is the big deal about desistance? Well, this is from a magazine, a U.S. magazine called Time Magazine, where about 15 years ago, crime was way down in the United States. And they wanted to know in the magazine what led to this big drop in crime. And they interviewed a bunch of police chiefs, and those police chiefs said it was because they were doing this or they were doing that policing wise. But then they interviewed criminologists, and criminologists almost all pointed to this isn't about anything the police are doing. They said what's happening is we're getting older as a society. The the country of America, average age had grown considerably from the 1960s and 1970s, when we were a very young country, to the now we're having fewer children, a lot more old people, and as society was getting older, and that's why we were seeing this crime drop. And in that article, it had this lovely quote where it says what does it say in English? That violence is a young man's game. And it's been said that the best crime fighting tool is a 30th birthday. And this quote struck me because I essentially had spent the previous decade or two studying these 30th birthdays and trying to understand what changes when people go through that magic maturation process. And if we could understand that, as it says, we would have a fantastic crime fighting tool or rehabilitation tool. And largely as a society, we had given up on rehabilitation because we decided that nothing worked to rehabilitate people. And yet something was working. There was some magic going on in these 30th birthdays that seemed to be a great crime fighting tool. And this research got very popular for a fairly short amount of time in the UK. Somewhere in the 2010s, we were very, very popular, and we were constantly being asked to appear at meetings and conferences, and the word desistance suddenly was everywhere. And there was this sense in which the justice system was embracing this concept of desistance from crime, even in rehabilitating programs, which we had been very critical of. Even those structured rehabilitation programs started to say they were basing what they were doing on desistance from crime. We had even a youth justice system say that it was going to be oriented around desistance, and even prisons talked about being desistance led in what they were going to try to do. And yet there's often misunderstanding when we talk about being desistance led in criminal justice. And I'm going to give an anecdote here of the worst interpretation I have ever seen of this concept. This is from a book by John McKnight, and he is talking in the book about a tour he took of a big jail in Chicago, our biggest jail, Cook County Jail. And he's looking down, he's on this prison tour, and he's looking down at this sea of young males in this huge open air room, and guards are all around the perimeter. And he's looking at these young people, and they're all just sort of staring catatonically. Some are watching TV, others are playing cards, but no one is doing any rehabilitation work. No one is doing anything productive, education or work. They're just vegetating there in this big room. You may have jails like this in Lima, and John, the academic, looked to the warden who was taking him on this tour, and he said, "What's going on here? Where is the rehabilitation? Look at all these young males, and they're not doing anything." And the warden turned to him and he said, "Actually, what you're observing there is the only type of rehabilitation that we know works. That is, one of the things we know is that when young people age, they move away from crime. So what you're seeing before you is maturation, and we are aging these young people, and then when they're old enough, and they will have turned their lives around, we will release them into the wild, so to speak." And this is, of course, a terrible interpretation of the desistance literature. Remember, the factors that are correlated to desistance are all things that are normative to aging, but they are not automatic. Things like a steady job and the love of a good woman are very hard when you're locked in a cage like Cook County Jail. So if you think about factors that might impede these normative desistance processes, stable families are impeded by incarceration. Stable jobs, very hard to get a good job after you've been incarcerated. move away from your same age, same sex peers. No, we're going to lock you up with those same peers in these schools of crime. Same with responsibility, with feelings of maturity. All very difficult to do in that kind of an environment. And we've known this for at least 100 years, the problems of incarceration on long-term reintegration, in particular when we lock away children and adolescents. We know there are these long-term impacts on people's ability to desist from crime. So the important lesson of the desistance research isn't that desistance is magical and that it happens automatically at any particular age. What's important and what we have been doing in desistance research is trying to take apart the aging process and ask what specific aspects of aging lead to desistance from crime. What are the mediating mechanisms at work in this process of desistance? And these are the things that we need to focus on, not on aging, which is going to happen regardless. But just because someone ages, it doesn't mean that they're maturing. So we are trying to take maturity apart and understand how, as one of the earliest desistance researchers would have said, the husband and wife team, Sheldon and Eleanor Gluck, way back in the 1940s, they said that the purpose of desistance research was to see if we can speed up the maturation process, which is going to happen anyway. But there are ways that you can slow the process and there are ways that you can speed it up. Right now, much of what we do in the justice system, at least in the UK, leads to a slowing of desistance because of the stigma, because of the labeling, because of the criminogenic effects of our punishment. But the desistance research says, if we understand what those mechanisms are at play, then we can help to speed up desistance as well with our justice system. And this is sometimes called the desistance paradigm or the desistance approach to rehabilitation. And Fergus McNeil from Glasgow is one of the key proponents of thinking about desistance in the work that we do in prisons, probation, and otherwise. And he says the main argument here is that instead of learning from experts, that we need to start learning from the desisters themselves. People who have gone straight are our best evidence and our best resource to understand rehabilitation. And so one of the really rewarding things that has come out of the desistance movement is a large number of former offenders who are now desisting have gone into rehabilitation work where they are sharing their stories, sharing their experiences, and in the same way they helped us understand desistance in research, they're helping those people who are in prison or on probation, helping them turn their lives around by acting as role models. One of these individuals would have told me in a research interview, he says, rehabilitation is like a minefield. And he says, how do you get through a minefield? Well, you watch the person in front of you, and if he gets out alive, then walk in his footsteps. And this is essentially what the desistance model is. It says, look, this is a pathway that worked for us. you can follow us in our footsteps if you want to get out of a criminal life, and that is an offer that's very different than the traditional way we think about reform or rehabilitation, where the expert says you need corrected, you need to turn your life around because you're bad and I'm good. This says, look, I was where you are, and I know a way out. You can follow me if you want to get out as well. So this is the desistance model. This is the end of my talk. I would be very happy to take any questions you might have, and I appreciate your patience in listening to me here.
Thank you, Shad. Shad, our city this year celebrate 491 years. Liverpool is a old city, 18th century, but the name of the city is very late. No, it's a difference between the real city and the city for the state. No, this
That's
experience between the informal society, informal society is very global South experience. It's very common. This part of the liberal history with the urban history in global South. So, Liverpool is a middle city, no? We see in the statistic the majority, 70% is the United Kingdom origins, but we have 30%, 20% the different continents, no? Different countries. So in Liverpool experience could be this connection between the crime and migration, crime and different population from Asia or Africa. What is the city experience in 21st century?
Yeah, great question. There are certainly perceptions in the UK that immigration has brought with it pockets of crime in different ways. The best research on the subject actually shows that immigrant communities, certainly in the first generation, are less prone to criminal behavior than native-born populations. It's not my area of expertise, but it is a growing importance in the field, largely because the politics can often be anti-immigration for just the reasons you talk about, especially with asylum seekers, with people escaping war-torn backgrounds. The country is very wary of taking in new immigration in that regard, and in much the way you see in most countries around the world. But we in criminology are doing our best to argue with statistics rather than with emotion to try to demonstrate that actually these are misperceptions of immigrant communities.
Yes, this is a political question in 21st century, migration, public policy. The other is the religious community and the crime, no? Because in the political approach is a Western community and no Western community, and it's different in the crime in the city. In Liverpool experience, we can find the difference, or is equal in these religious communities.
Yeah, so our big divide in Liverpool, like other cities like Glasgow and like Belfast, historically was Catholics versus Protestants, and that is, of course, now very very much in history. But there were perceptions, even 50, 100 years ago, of differences in religious groupings and criminal behavior. At that time, the Catholics in Liverpool were largely Irish immigrants, and we have a huge Irish community now, many generations old. But we're where my office is situated. You can't see. I'd have to turn the camera around, but we have the largest Catholic cathedral in the UK and a very large Anglican cathedral as well, and they're both on the same street. It's called Hope Street, and part of that is the sort of the hope of these two religious traditions getting along with each other, which they now do in Liverpool, thankfully. We have other religions now coming into the country, and yes, similar moral panics have emerged around new immigrant groups. Partially, Christian churches have declined enormously in church attendance in the UK, to the point that it's, I think, about 15% or less of those who self-identify as Christian attend religious worship every week, whereas these new religious groups are far more likely to be actively practicing. It's usually Muslim or Hindu communities who have immigrated into the United Kingdom. So this does cause concern, again, especially around young people and young males, where there's always those concerns. But again, yeah, the research doesn't suggest the panic is founded. There are certainly different views around the role of women and different cultures and subculture communities that are also very concerning. So we sometimes get panics around sex crimes, but again, the research suggests that most of those crimes are also committed by the native-born population.
Chat, there are some questions in the chat. Professor Cardo Lopez.
Okay.
In general, people could be very affected with the sentiment.
Great. I can't move my chat for some reason. Let me see if I can get there. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Oh, great. Lots of comments. Yes.
Yes. Professor Lopez Guevara.
Oh, wow. Lots. Okay. Lopez Guevara. Currently, it is known that crime has increased worldwide and become even more prevalent in major cities, especially in Latin America. I believe the main causes globally are family dysfunction, including in the USA and other countries, and poverty. In this part of the world, we don't see, and I don't believe there will be a decrease in crime if the root causes of the problem are not addressed. Yeah, that's fascinating. And you're certainly right. In poverty, and in particular inequality, is the best predictor of crime differences in cities and country-wide statistics as well. The only one I would challenge you on is that the major cities in the U.S. have all. Indeed, since the COVID period, where we saw a little upturn in crime that people got very concerned about, crime is back down. We have a president who likes to boast about everything being better than it's ever been in history, but I'm frozen. In the case of crime, he's actually right. Now that it wasn't anything that he's done. But crime rates today in New York City and in Los Angeles and other big American cities are way down to the best that we can measure. So there is still hope, I think, for crime drop, but it's but I understand your point, and you're absolutely right. The unless we address the fundamental inequalities in a society, you're always going to have the disadvantaged realizing, well, if I can't succeed in a meritocratic way, if they're not going to give me opportunities to succeed in a legitimate way, I'll find other opportunities, and that's where the majority of crime comes from. Yeah.
Chad, in different countries, in different cities, we can find the minor age increase the crime in 21st century. Not only for the minors, for the strategy, the criminals bands to use the minor age to use for the crime. But in Liverpool, you can find age, the less age to connect with the crime. In 21st century, we find in different city, the age to connect with the crime is less.
Right.
2 years, 3 years. Is this similar in Liverpool?
Yes, if I'm following, the older one gets, the less likely they're to crime, and maybe you're asking about young people committing crime at a lower rate, which is also happening in Liverpool. It's been a fascinating puzzle. Again, that age crime curve had been around for 100 years as a kind of criminological fact. That was one of the very few things. We can all agree that males are more criminal than females. We can all agree that the disadvantaged are more likely to be in the justice system than the rich. But the age crime curve was sort of the other big truth about crime, and suddenly we're seeing young people engaging in less crime all around the world, and so it's a fascinating puzzle. Some of it is, again, there are fewer young people. Certainly when I was a kid, we had much bigger families, and when you have families, of 8-10 kids, you've almost got a gang right there in a family group, and these big families were harder to control in lots of ways, and so young people's kind of owned the streets in ways they don't anymore. The other arguments are that because young people are on their phones, they're on the computer, and they've moved from the streets to the internet in important ways. That's also been a cause of the big crime drop among young people. So some really interesting work going on in that regard as well.
Chad, in the chat, we have some question. For example, Professor Portilla.
Okay.
Luisa Portilla. And the other question.
Okay, Portilla, I see. Yeah, okay. What is the percentage difference between the crime rates of men and women? What explains this difference? Okay, great. Yeah, great question, and huge. It's not a good statistic, but I think if I have a terrible memory, but something like 95% of the people in prison in the UK are males. I could have that slightly off, but no more than 10%. So and of course, women in prison, they're famously less serious crimes that women are imprisoned for. So we have an enormous difference between the two genders. Now, the rationale for that is a great question. You know, it takes away an earlier question mentioned the clear correlation between poverty and crime, which is true. But of course, women are statistically more likely to be impoverished. We know that women are paid less for the same jobs as males and so forth. And yet women have always been, at least since we've kept statistics, have been less criminal, less likely to be caught up in the criminal justice system. So we've got a puzzle there with women that we need to better understand. You know, I guess looking at the desistance research and evidence and the way that so much of crime is connected to being socially excluded from communities and social networks. So we often say there's kind of nothing more dangerous than an individual with nothing to lose. The person who is adrift from his family, his community. He's moved to a new town and he knows no one. Is a dangerous person in some ways, and I think women have always been and are for structural reasons much more connected to family, to their children, obviously, but also to their communities and families of origin, and so some of this probably explains it. There's also got to be some biological reasons as well, and it's very hard not to see. You know, I'm the last person to talk about biology, but again, when you see that age and sex are two of the best predictors of criminal behavior, it does suggest there is something going on with young males. But you know, it's also important to remember that crime is both about behaviors and reactions to those behaviors. So it's the way our systems look at young male behavior, and of course the justice systems that we have are also dominated by males, be it the police or prison systems and our courts. So it's a very interesting dynamic, that gender and crime.
Yeah, Professor Castro, the question is the comparison between the relationship between the maturity and desistance in the North, Europe, Middle East, or Africa Sub-Saharan, or Latin America. There are comparison between this region.
It's a great question. On maturity, on desistance in particular, probably not. We do have more north-south research happening with desistance. Probably too little still. You know, we're still in the kind of when it comes to comparative research, we're still looking at comparisons between say France and the UK, or the UK and Scandinavia. There's been a couple of studies. So we're not really entering the kind of place where we can make strong conclusions too far internationally in that regard. But it's really important that we do so, because I do think there's some very important cultural differences. You know, one of the things that I always say is you know, not only do I not expect the research that I did in Liverpool to hold up in Lima or Lebanon, But even in time periods, cultures change in important ways that we've talked about, family structure and immigration and these sort of things. And so, I really don't see my own contributions to Desistance being kind of universal. I do think we need much more specific research in different cultures in different areas of the world. Some things will be generalizable, like the gender differences and things. But in other ways, I think cultures differ in important ways that would play out differently with maturation.
Chad, Clara Castillo, the question is about the rehabilitation program.
Okay, programs available. Yeah. Yeah, for example, we usually impose harsh sentences on child molesters and believe they should never be forgiven, which is why we isolate them. Is this the right approach? I hope my question makes sense. It does. It makes perfect sense. Actually, we do have a lot of programs in the UK for very serious crimes like that, for sex offending. In particular, we do invest a lot into treatment programs, largely because it's such a concern as a crime that we want to say that we've done everything we can to reduce the risk of recidivism. But you're right. Many of those efforts that we take with that population, especially around when they're released into communities, where we put great restrictions on whether they can work, where they can live, and very, very basic aspects of reintegration, where a number of criminologists would argue that all of our treatment and rehabilitation that we invest in is being put to they're being set up to fail, basically. Famously in the United States, people with those types of serious convictions are often released homeless to a park bench because they can't get anyone anywhere to take them in terms of housing to live. And the only safe place that they're allowed to be released to is under a bridge somewhere in a major city. So these are really damaging to the process of reintegration. And you can invest all you want in therapy, but if you're going to limit someone from being able to work or start a family or get a home, you're not doing desistance, I guess. And so, yeah, that is a real concern that because of course we want to punish, especially serious crimes like that. But we don't want to make people worse with our punishments. So it's important that we punish in a smart way, I guess.
Yes, Profesor Bobbio, puede compartir su pregunta. Profesor Bobbio.
Sure. Hello, Chad. I'm Professor Bobbio from the University of San Marcos. Okay. Your conference was very, very interesting. Also the questions. But I have seen all this as if I was in other planet. Why? Because our problems are, we are an amazing country. For example, in this moment, we have 40 candidates for president, 40. And no one is a decent person. The young people don't have opportunities. There are very few universities that are good universities. And to enter in the university, you need to pay an academy previously, because our high school is very bad. very, very bad. Now, in this moment, in the northern mountains in Peru, and we don't have here drinking water. We had an ambulance for more than 40 small villages, and the ambulance is in panic. We had 5 months with the ambulance in panic, and no one can spend $2,000 to repair the ambulance. I was like a beggar in the government with the mayor, and nobody's interested. Nobody. If somebody has a serious problem, it's very easy. He dies. So when I hear you, yeah, it's very interesting. Desistance from crime. But previous to that, we shouldn't have the amount of criminals. But it's so country, our country is in crisis. We are an amazing country. That you try to compare, you cannot compare. You have children and youngs that don't have future. Invited for the American government, and I could understand this is other world. I'm living in another world, totally. Our Congress is a brother. It's a brother. And everybody knows that it's so. 2 women were killed, and we try to ignore that. Desistance from crime. But the problem is more than of families that are without one parent, no? Father, they don't have a mother, or they don't have both, no?
Yeah.
We do what we can at the university schools. That was all my goodbye.
It's quite a lot. Thank you very much. Look, I can only hear parts of it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the problems are you know, I'm very aware that the desistance work and the desistance paradigm is like mopping up at the back end. We shouldn't be here in the first place if we didn't have the kind of endemic problems you described to lead to so many young people turning to crime out of desperation. We wouldn't have the need for aging out of crime or desistance. So yes, and you're the beginning of your call about education and the you know, the role of schools and universities. You know, it is we talk about, we have an acronym over here called NEET, NEET, and it means not in education, employment, or training. And these are young people between 16 and 25 who aren't in any sort of training or schooling, and they're not employed. And this is the NEETs in that terrible acronym are a big concern for every culture. You know, that is a key developmental stage where young people, children, turn into adults, and you know, the university is a wonderful rite of passage for making that transition. But of course, it's far too few. It's such an elite group in many countries who get the chance to go to university. So what is there for the rest of those 16 to 25-year-olds? And that is a key thing to ask as a society, because if you're not creating those rites of passage, those pathways into adulthood, you are creating a crime problem to break your own back with, and we see that all over the world.
Chad, in this topic, we can find big difference between the crime and men and crime and women.
Yeah,
Definitely. Even the women can have less money than man. The poverty, yes, of course, but we can see the women experience. We find the minor percentage, the criminality in women with less money than the man. The connection between the women and the family, the women with the grandmother, daughter, sons. Okay. The family, we have different kind of family. The family could be a good approach to this problem. No, they develop, they take care of the families. No, the community, the mayor, the university, the school, take care of the families. Is as society, as community, we take care of the family, could be a way to worldwide, no, connect with the good experience to develop the health, to develop, take care of the families. In your city, in Liverpool, you have program to protect the families, to help the families. I don't know, in the mayor, or could be in the local government, or could be in the university. I don't know. How Liverpool take care of the family.
Yeah, great. You know, it's such an important thing, and that goes back to the beginning of our talk about the welfare state, and yes, looking after mothers and or children has always been a kind of key social policy priority in the United Kingdom and elsewhere, and it's so important when it comes to crime, even though, as you say, women aren't committing the crime at the same levels as men. We expect them a great deal from women in terms of rehabilitation. So when you interview young males about their desistance, they will often say, you know, it was my girlfriend who saved me, or it, you know, if it weren't for my mother who stood by me and came to visit me every month, every week in jail, I wouldn't have had anybody. So it is, you know, we it's such a patriarchal society that not only do men commit all the crime, but women do all the work in terms of rehabilitation. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not enormously. So we rest a lot on women and families. And so, yes, if our justice system should really be about investing in families, because that's who is going to reduce the crime problem, not the officers in blue, but rather the mothers and the girlfriends and the wives that are out there. So some of our best intervention programs are starting to recognize, instead of just giving assistance to the males as they come out of prison, let's work with the families and make sure we're assisting them and what are their needs, because they're the ones who are going to be we're going to be counting on. And some of the findings are extraordinary, how women will give so much of their salaries while they're struggling and struggling to put food on their children's plates, are sending money in to their partners inside prisons and things. So we put a huge burden on completely innocent women and children of families of men in prison, and they're often the forgotten victims of all this. So it's a great question.
This is a traditional approach is individual, because it's the alignment approach, 18th century, 19th century, in connection with the capitalists, of course. But the man is a social, it's a social phenomenon, and the family, the different cultural family, of course. But with the family approach, we can protect the community or establish new connection with the migrants, etc. With the no-individual approach, even a family approach, well, it could be opportunity to connect Lima and Liverpool, to share our experience, to help your student and my students. I'm sure your student could be a good experience in Lima. For example, in Lima, we have a juvenile correctional center. We have the university, the law, the political science, social work has some program with the Minister of Justice to the student to know the justice system and the central correctional. Well, we have experience, we have research. Could be important to connect the cities, the city and university. Liverpool is public university, San Marcos Public University. We work for the community, we work for the people, Yes, of course, we have a distance. There are 5 hours, in this moment, 5 hours the difference. Some hours by flight, but the idea is the seminar is expression the Peruvian nation to establish connection with different public university to help the young, because our youngs, the young from Liverpool, the young in Lima will be the leaders, the United Kingdom, the leaders, the Peru. These young people need a transnational experience, virtual experience, of course, the economy, then after the physical, yes, but we can start virtual contact with our students, with our young students interested in this topic, social policy, criminology, with the law approach, political science approach, social work approach, sociology approach, etc. But the idea is how to help the young, how to help the student, because the 21st century is very difficult. Yes, it's more difficult than 20th century. Yes, it could be the big difference. In 20th century, we can find the family with a lot of children, but in 21st century, the people has no babies, has no child. Different, reason, but it's the age people, the old people increase in 21st century. Not only in the north, it's experience in the south at the same time. your presentation. This is the idea, the projects, continued activities with the Liverpool and St. Mark, student, professor. The idea how to help our local community.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very difficult. The distance, the cultural, okay, but as public university, we have worked for that contact, for how to help our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so good for students. Sometimes it takes, going across the ocean in order to see things clearly in your own country and so forth. So I think exchange is wonderful. I'm myself an immigrant. I have had that benefit of seeing different communities in Ireland and England and the United States and elsewhere that have really helped me to understand how these processes work. So I'm all for it. I think you're absolutely right about the challenges we face in these troubled times, and they are unique. You mentioned AI at the beginning, and just the changes in technology and all the good. I mean, the fact that we can be together here, sitting in my office with hundreds of people across the world is extraordinary. And then on the other hand, all the challenges that come with this too. So I really appreciate you inviting me today and having the chance to meet with you all. I hope this won't be the last time, and I very much look forward to staying in touch with you all.
Chad, in our network, we have activity with the Sao Paulo University,
okay,
Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
At this moment, the seminar has some students from Sao Paulo University. They got internship in our seminar university. At the same time, we have contact with the Stellenbosch University. And Gadamada is the Indonesia university. It's a top university, public university in Indonesia. So we have a network in the global south, Southeast Asia, Africa, but could be important to connect with the global north.
Yeah.
No, well, the idea is we have some question in the chat. You can see.
Okay, and then I should.
If you can see, please, the chat.
Yep.
From me? Okay.
Yeah.
I am Sixto Sanchez. I am the president of the National Council of Science, Technology, and Innovation. We know about you, Chad, and I want to take the opportunity to invite all the assistants, the persons who are in this interesting conference. I really congratulate them for doing this. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Me? Oh, sorry.
Now I could, somehow you went on mute for a second. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I am the president of Concitec. So I want to take the opportunity to invite all the audience to participate in that contest. In 1 month or 2 months, we are going to send a call, a contest, so you can participate in presenting projects, submitting projects to be funded by our agency. As you know, Concitec funds projects, research projects, and crime is a priority in our country. So I invite, maybe I can say that in Spanish, so invito a la audiencia a participar en el próximo call, va a ser una convocatoria para financiar proyectos relacionados a crimen, tanto desde el punto de vista de predicción, prevención y manejo del crimen. Es un concurso que lo vamos a hacer dada la prioridad que tiene el manejo del crimen en nuestro país, desde la prevención hasta el manejo. That's all, Chad. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
Muchas gracias, doctor Sánchez. Muchas gracias por la cordial invitación de Concitec. Yes, Chad, our country, Peru, in 21st century has a good experience in economy. In 21st century, we have any scholarship. In 21st century, the Peruvian state start a scholarship program, for example. With a comparison in 21 and 21st century, the Peruvian state developed a different social policy to inclusion, the people, the local, the original communities, etc. No? In this moment, the first economy in South Pacific was Chile. Chile in 20th century. But in 21st century, in the last year, 25, our economy is 90%, 95% to the Chile economy. So in 20 years, Peruvian economy has a very good experience. The people said in this century, in these years, the principal economy in South Pacific will be Peru, not Chile. In South Pacific, we have Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. The 21st century the people say it's a good century for Peru, for Lima, for the coast. Could be opportunity to renovate connection with different university and different institute. The Concitec is part of the Peruvian state. It's a call, could be interesting to project, common research. Sí, colega, profesor, doctor Sánchez. Sí, sí, profesor Sánchez.
Sí, acá estoy.
Sí, tenía la mano.
No, ya, me olvidé de tocarle.
Ya, ok, gracias, gracias. El doctor Carlos Destre. Carlos Destre Mendoza, si tiene alguna pregunta. Chad, do you know Lima? Do you know South America?
No, I like I say, I've been to Chile and Argentina a couple times, but I've never been to Lima, never been to Peru. So open
Santiago,
to any invitation.
2 hours de Lima, it's near Santiago de Lima. If you visit Santiago,
yes,
Lima is next.
Just down the road. Okay,
yes.
Great.
Yes. Well, see, you can see the chat. We have some question.
Yeah, I'll just
about the
Oxford Handbook. Did I lose you, Hector?
After, yes, 11 a.m., we have some question.
Okay, 11 a.m. I need to get moving myself here. I hadn't realized this would go past 4:30. But yeah, I see the question about the Oxford Handbook, and I appreciate that. The Oxford Handbook is what we like to sometimes call the Bible of British criminology. It doesn't call itself the Oxford Handbook of British Criminology, but it really is. And so we don't have in that a strong international comparative component, and it doesn't try to be. Whereas there are some handbooks out there that are more internationally relevant, or that try to have contributions from every country, and those are equally important. But the Oxford Handbook is an old, well established. It's sort of been going for 30 years, and it was a big honor to be asked to take that over and try to do a kind of definitive what is criminology for the British context. But I've also been involved in a similar handbooks in Ireland and of course elsewhere. So it's there is something strangely almost colonial about these big attempts to do the canon, when the canon is especially all from one country, all British in this case. So it is a slightly uncomfortable, but a nice honor for me to be involved in that. But a much bigger honor to be involved in today, and having the chance to talk to you all. I do need to go, but I wish I could stay longer. It's been a real privilege to talk to everyone. Thank you, Clara. Hector, I think you're on
Yes.
mute. Yeah, there you go. Okay, sorry.
Well,
Okay.
the idea, chat is the first activity. I invite some director of the Liverpool University. Before pandemic, we host a delegation to Liverpool because they research the global TBC, Southeast Asia, Africa, and South America. So this is a contact before pandemic between Liverpool and St. Mark University. The Crime Society, John, is a connection within the law department, political science department, sociology department, social work department, anthropology, yes, of course, public health school. It's a good topic to different approach, the quality and quantitative approach. Could be opportunity to develop this experience. I would like to invite you or invite some professor from your department to continue these activities, which share his or her research. A good time, yes, it's 60 hours to Liverpool. The experience, the seminar is the virtual experience and physical experience. For example, with the professor de San Luis, the sociology was a virtual, then visit to Lima, Could be in your program this year or next year, visit university, continue this activity. At the same time, our university has some students in doctoral programs in British University, in Newcastle and Loughborough. In Newcastle, we have a sociology graduate. In Loughborough, we have a biomedical engineering graduates from St. Mark University.
Great.
So this is the projection, the seminar.
Great. Well, I definitely hope we can continue.
A question is the call for the postgraduate study in your department for the master and doctoral, when the student can apply.
Yeah, they can apply up until really September for the masters. With the PhD, you can apply all through the year. But for funded places, they should really be getting in contact with academics here by say November, October even, so that they can get an application ready for December, January, which is when the big competition for funded places are. And we do fund in the UK a small number of international places for sure for PhD students. We've got a couple this year that are we're hoping to get through, but it's much more competitive than home students. But yes, and the masters. We've just started a master's in criminology. We have a long-standing master's in social research, and we're developing a new master's in sociology that'll probably start not next year, but the year after.
What is experience from your department with the South America University? Could be in Brazil, in Argentina, Chile, no? What is your experience with contact with South American University?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we have a lot of research contacts. My postdoc is just back from Brazil, where she was working with Prison Radio and doing some research there. She's also done work like I have in Argentina. She works closely with groups there. So all of us have good research contacts. Probably don't have as many formal teaching student exchanges as we should, but we would have some, and we have students at the moment all over the globe on exchange programs. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk about putting together some more formal exchanges of students as well as staff. I have one of the reasons I need to get going. We have a Japanese colleague visiting here, and we get about 20 international visitors a year through our program. Some are funded to their flight and some housing costs. Most are paying their own way. But it's a great way to build these relationships between the two universities, exchanging students, exchanging staff. So yeah, we try to do a lot of that work. And I see you put some links in. I will open these up and have a look.
Asistencia es, amigos, amigas, es la asistencia. Si
Okay.
ven en el chat la asistencia para la sesión correspondiente.
Okay.
Bien, Chad, well, I would like to express appreciation of our institution. Profesor Destre, ¿tiene alguna consulta? ¿Alguna pregunta? Profesor Carlos Destre Mendoza. Bien. Amigos, amigas, ¿tienen alguna consulta, alguna pregunta? Visto varias preguntas. Si es que pueden quizás compartir. Tenemos pues la invitación del presidente Concitec a esta convocatoria, ¿no? Sobre crimen y sociedad, ¿no? Que la ha compartido hace unos momentos. Bien, también en el chat han podido ver los links de la Universidad de Liverpool, de la School de Law and Social Justice, justamente donde está el departamento del profesor Runa. Shad, Maruna is your surname is from Ireland.
No, it's actually a Czech name, the Czech Republic. But yeah, via Chicago. So yeah, I'm moving back closer to home. But no, I lived in Ireland for years, but no Irish in me.
the university has in the past agreement with the Charles University, the Prague.
Okay. Oh, very good. Yes. Yeah. Lovely university. Yeah. Yeah.
With Rogers, yes, we have some common activities. Some university in America, as Chicago, as Dartmouth or Santa Barbara. Some.
Nice.
Well, amigos, amigas, por favor, ¿podrían prender su cámara para tomar una captura de la sesión? Please, chat. We can take a picture of the session. Wait a moment. Wait a moment.
Okay. I'll be taking a picture of all this.
Yes, please. Sí, encienden un momento sus cámaras. Bien, a ver, un momento. 1, 2. Sí, profesora Luis, un momento. 1, 2. Sí, profesora Portilla. Sí, por favor, puede compartir su pregunta. Sí, chat, la profesora Portilla tiene una pregunta en el...
For forensic linguistics, that one. Yes. One last question, please. Yeah, that's a growing field, and there's some links to my work, which is around narrative, but I recognize it's own developing field, forensic linguistics. It has relatively limited connections to criminology, but in terms of investigations, yes, it's a growing area in the UK. There's definitely been cases that have utilized it. Yeah.
Bien, pueden ver por el chat la asistencia. Entonces, well, thank you, chat. I would like to continue activities with Liverpool University. Amigos, amigas, tenemos este mes también la participación de la Universidad de Glasgow, de la cátedra de Adam Smith de Economía Política, y estamos atentos a tener más actividades con las universidades del Reino Unido. Bien. El chat, el link de asistencia lo tienen ahí, por favor, para su misión. Well, chat, I would like this next May, we celebrate 475 years. You can visit any years in May. It's a big celebration for university, and you have cultural experience, because our university one day folkloric things the H20 faculty, the St. Mark University. Well, I hope that meet in Lima the next time.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'll take you up on that. Yeah, and congratulations on the anniversary. That's really amazing.
Well, amigos y amigas, muchas gracias. Estamos en contacto. Gracias por su asistencia. Chad, thank you.
Chao,
See
chao,
you.
gracias.
Muchas gracias, everybody. Thanks.
Gracias.
Bien, en el chat pueden llenar la asistencia. Muchas gracias por su